the housing crisis is something we've got to get stuck into in terms of the detail. And the truth of the matter is, it gets worse every year.
The Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, is pledging to end his city's housing crisis within a decade. Bold plans set to be unveiled in a speech later this morning.
Well, Andy Burnham joins us now from Manchester. Very good morning to you. Just before we talk about housing, firstly, I know that you're meeting just in a couple of hours Figen Murray, who is Martin Hett's mum. We spoke to her just a couple of minutes ago. Martin Hett, of course, one of the victims of the Manchester Arena bombing. She wants more measures to be brought in to protect people at arenas. Of course, we've got the Co-op Live Arena, which is taking a pause at the moment from opening because it wants to ensure the safety and security of fans and artists. What needs to be done to make sure that people are safe there and at other arenas in the wake of what happened?
Well, Figen she's just a wonderful person, and I've always supported her in the call for Martin's Law. And Martin's Law is about having a clear set of standards for venues when it comes to security. At the moment, that doesn't exist, and consequently, venues aren't as safe as they should be. This is not, about sort of being overly draconian or putting venues at risk. It's just about having a sensible set of measures for every venue, whatever the size. So, Figen's been campaigning. She's had promises that it would be brought through onto the statute book, but it's taking too long, and that's why I'm fully supporting Figen with her walk and everything she's doing to make Martin's Law a reality.
Andy Burnham, you're doing a speech in a few minutes' time, actually, pledging to end the housing crisis in a decade, to build 10,000 more council homes using brownfield land where possible. As part of that, you're saying the government should suspend the right to buy policy. You're making a formal request for them to do that. Of course, after the results this weekend, there could be a Labour government next year. Labour at the moment is saying they won't suspend the right to buy your council house policy. Is that something you can persuade them to change their minds on?
Well, I hope so, Ed. I've really thought this through. The housing crisis is something we've got to get stuck into in terms of the detail. And the truth of the matter is, it gets worse every year. So not only are we not solving it, it actually gets worse, not just here in Greater Manchester, but around the country. And it's because we lose homes for social rent every year through right to buy. So the last time we have figures for in Greater Manchester, we lost 500 net, if you look at how many were built and how many were lost through right to buy. So, when it's, comes to the housing crisis, this is like sort of trying to run a bath with the plug out. You can't do it. It doesn't work because you keep losing those homes, and the position gets always more difficult. So these new 10,000 homes that we're going to build, 1,000 in every Greater Manchester borough, we're saying you've got to suspend the right to buy from those homes so that they can be there in the social rented stock for decades, so that we can start to build it back up. And it's only suspend, Ed, it's not end. I recognise that it's helped a lot of people, but at the end of the day, we need to give more people the ability to have a council home in the first place. And if the stock is constantly dwindling, well, that's not going to happen, is it?
Can I ask you a bit more about the prospect of a Labour government? You were a cabinet minister in the financial crisis, the health secretary under the last Labour government. Now you're elected with a mandate to tackle the cost of living crisis, to improve public services in Manchester. Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, Rachel Reeves, never been in government, in the cabinet. I wonder, are they ready for government, do you think? Have they got the experience, the judgment? And when they say they're not going to raise taxes, not just for working people, but no rise in corporation tax, no wealth tax. I mean, are they so boxed in on taxation, they're not going to be able to do what you need to get resources to you in Manchester?
Well, I certainly think they are ready for government, Ed. The people you just mentioned have obviously been in politics a long time. Keir, as Director of Public Prosecutions, obviously has held one of the biggest offices in this country before. And we're really encouraged, actually, by the level of engagement that we have with them now, because this is the difference, actually, Ed, between 1997, which you will remember well when Labour came in. There's a big difference between then and now. Back then, there was no regional infrastructure. There was no combined authorities like the organisation I lead. But because we now have 11 Labour mayors covering the big cities of England with really capable organisations, we can deliver in a very different way and much more quickly. You know, that plan I was talking about with regard to the housing crisis, I'm confident we can do it. When we've got a Labour government at our back, we can really crack on and get this sorted out. So, you know, I think
on the question about tax, Andy,
the difference.
Andy, on the question about tax, you don't really have big tax-raising powers. Labour said no rise in taxes for working people, or corporation tax, or wealth taxes. I mean, are they making the right judgment to box themselves in so hard on saying no tax rises? I mean, how can they deliver for you?
Well, I mean, there is going to be a real challenge on that front, and I think particularly of the NHS. You asked me about my time as Health Secretary. You and I know, Ed, that the NHS can't carry on in the position that it's in. So I think Labour will have to make some big decisions with regard to public finances. From my point of view, I look at our 10 councils. There's just no way councils can carry on in the position that they are in. You know, there's so many are close to the brink. So there are going to be difficult decisions, aren't there, around taxation. It's not an easy inheritance by any means, but you know, I think the party will have to make those decisions. From my point of view, what I would say is, I think you can spend public money much more efficiently by working through systems like Greater Manchester, where we can join the dots, we can break down the silos, we can just make public funding go further. And I think that's why I'm saying to the party today, you know, really work with us now on delivery plans in all of these mayoral areas so that we can make the most of a Labour government and hit the ground running. OK. Andy Burnham, thank you very much.
Andy, just very quickly, we're playing at Loftus Road Friday night for Sports Aid. I hope you're fit, and are you going to pass to me?
We are. Yeah, I am. I'm wondering about you, actually, Mr. Balls. I remember having to do all the work around you when we played up front, when you would just be standing on the 6-yard box. So I hope you've been getting out there and getting in shape.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Who does Andy Burnham support, by the way?
Everton. Everton.
Yeah, all right, Andy Burnham, good to see you this morning.
See you
Don't want to delay you any longer because I know you've got an important speech to deliver.
Do your fitness work.
Thank you.